Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. How are we, amigas? So excited to have everyone here. Welcome to the Amigas and Wealth Virtual Summit presented by We All Grow Latina and JP Morgan Wealth Management. My name is Vanessa Santos, and I'm the co-CEO and partner for We All Grow Latina, and I will be your hostess with the mostest today. We honor your commitment to your financial future, amiga, and we are here to help you step into your abundance to build generational wealth for today, mañana, and the generations to come. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with us, and thank you for making the commitment to yourself and your financial future. Give yourself a hug, un aplauso por favor, and okay, who is ready to get started? I don't know about you, but I'm very, very excited. I love that we see Peru. Oh my God, we have Utah, we have Colombia in the house, we have Puerto Rico, Miami, New York. I love this. California, yes, yes, yes. I am honored to introduce to you our keynote speaker, Linda Garcia. Besides being a true jefa, Linda is the host of the podcast Let There Be Luz, aimed to channel one's spiritual journey. Linda's life purpose is to help heal the generational wounds in the Latinx community, specifically tied to building wealth from a unique spiritual perspective. Linda, so happy to have you here, and the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. I want to thank We All Grow Latina and JP Morgan for opening today's space, making these resources accessible to our community, and valuing our community leaders that are doing their part in distributing knowledge on financial literacy. I want to note that they have recognized that this is not only about providing the resources to begin obtaining financial literacy, but also to highlight that we have a system of limitations in place and that we are gathering today in efforts to shift that. Many of us are familiar with the feeling of our chest tightening when we go to check our balance in our bank account. In some experiences, it was courageous to even open it to begin with, as we hoped for bigger numbers to magically appear. Bills have to get paid. Food needs to be present at our sacred dinners, even if it is tacos de papa o frijolitos con tortillas y salsa. Many of us have never known the feeling of our chest not tightening when we go to open our bank account. A cold wave of anxiety coming over our heads and penetrating our body. Many of us are very familiar with the feeling of not having enough. Many of us have never learned how this scary money monster works. So many of us are triggered by the experiences we had with it as children. It has placed so much pain, sacrifice, hardship, pressure on our parents, and many times that energy has been passed on to us. It's the scary monster in our closets, underneath our beds. It is our perception of money. And because of this perception we hold, it is much easier to hate it than it is to learn to embrace it, than it is to learn how to use it. It is easier to hate it than it is to learn how to make it. Yet we watched our parents break their backs for it for so little of it, and not for enough of it. What is this monster that we have been taught to sacrifice our lives for? Yet we carry a deep sense of pride in working hard for it, working hard for what we don't understand, wearing our struggle like a badge of honor. But that's not why my parents came here. They came here to move us away from the grip of poverty. They came here so that I can echarle ganas for the hopes and dreams that this country offered. A big part of why they came here was for money. I have had a long and painful journey with money, mostly with not having money, but I found it much more painful accepting that I desired to build wealth. It sounds silly to associate the pain with the desire of building wealth. But the thing is that in our families, not only do we not talk about Bruno, we also do not talk about money. And if we do, we run the risk of criticism and shame. There are many of us here on social media and in our professional lives pushing boundaries, living by example, and courageously demonstrating what is possible. You're connecting with 8 of us today. But the truth is that there is so much work to be done. It has become very clear to me that it does not matter how much financial literacy we obtain. If we don't begin to get clear with the way we perceive money, then it will be very challenging to understand. Because for the Latinx community, children of immigrants, we have a very unique perception of money. one that can't be changed with let alone understanding how money works. Our perception of money is tied to the experiences that we have had as children, and unfortunately to the experiences that our parents had, and that their parents had, and so on and so forth. The perception of money is transmitted and is almost always a generational perception until someone in the lineage becomes self-aware. The issue at large is that in our communities, we have families upon families upon families with very similar perception. This only amplifies and strengthens the collective perception. It is important to understand that what we perceive is not necessarily true. It is simply a filter. The issue is that the filter of perception is so powerful that it has the ability to manipulate our personal experiences. It can do this because perception frames our beliefs. And if our beliefs include a negative perception about money, then our experience with money will be negative. This limits our personal experience and how we can grow as a person, build and obtain wealth, as well as the distribution of it in our communities of color. First, we get clear. Get clear with yourself. How do you perceive money? What are the beliefs that you have developed about money through time? How many times have these beliefs stopped you from achieving what is greater than our bounds of limitation? Do you believe that the root of evil is money? Do you believe that wealthy people are greedy? These are questions you have to gain clarity on and work through to begin your healthy wealth building journey. The negative perception is not your core belief. Your core belief is abundant. It is limitless. I believe that you are the chosen in your lineage and for your community to become self-aware. Acknowledge your past experience, not with guilt or shame, but with pride, the type of pride that our community knows how to demonstrate. That our circumstances do not define us, but they enhance our potential to accomplish whatever it is that we desire. We have what it takes to shift the perception from negative to positive. Make sure that we are moving in this direction for our children. May we be the abuelitas, the great tias that change the direction of our lineage and impact those around us. The sooner we begin to do this work, the sooner we will see the collective perception begin to change. The sooner you will learn to value yourself above anything else. The sooner you will value one another as opposed to questioning how we value each other. We are being called towards massive growth out of the current collective state. Let's not forget that the Latina demographic has $2 trillion of disposable income in this country. I can only begin to imagine what would happen if those that hold the 2 trillion would become self-aware of their personal power. My favorite part of learning about money is the opportunities it gives me to reflect on. The fear, the doubts, the triggers that arise, those are the opportunities. And the only time I get to have them reflected directly towards me is when I am learning and working with money. I get to look at those doubts and fears coming from little me, and I get to hold her and tell her that those emotions are no longer needed for protection, that I am here. There are no more monsters under the bed and in the closet. I am here to shine the light on all of it. I am here to push through with no explanation other than I am. That every day I will work to demonstrate her worthiness and have her believe in her personal power. That we no longer survive in lack, but that we thrive in our abundance. These emotions are extremely important to acknowledge and not ignore. The more we parent our thoughts as we navigate financial literacy, the more powerful we become and the less those thoughts have power over us. This is healing. Learning about money and confronting your past emotions and experiences with it is healing. The moment you begin to apply what you have learned moving forward with all of the steps of execution in whatever part of financial literacy it is that you are taking on, you will begin to develop a deep level of self-confidence that you have never experienced within. You will start to take control of not just your finances, but your entire life with confidence. You will start to disconnect the emotional ties you have to money due to trauma and begin to see the logic for the tool that it is. You will start to understand how this tool has a power to multiply, grow, multiply, and grow again. The resourceful Latina in you will understand its foundation, losing the dependencies of having to obtain it from other people and fully understanding that you have what it takes to tend to it and to take it even further. You have what it takes to distribute it in the ways that we see fit, because it is our time to create, build, and generate wealth without guilt and without shame. It is our time to thrive and not wait for others to change their perception of us, but for us to simply understand our power within and take control. It is time for wealth to be in our hands. Aside from the power and healing that comes from taking control of your money and understanding how money works by using it as a tool, I want you to process something that has completely changed my life. I began to understand and really reflect that money without the human element is nothing. You are what is powerful, and without you, money does not exist. Money is simply created through thoughts, the thought to create something and distribute it for monetary exchange. Let's not forget to tap into that power that our ancestors have always demonstrated. Why is it que nunca nos faltó nada, ni nos va a faltar? Because they understood that they can make money happen. That is why they came here without a plan in sight, because at the core, they understood and had faith in that. I have faith in you and what you are here to receive, and you will execute it for personal change. I hope that you never stop learning about money and in turn, learning about yourself. Keep reaching for expansion, because I know through my practice and in my heart that this is the greatest revolutionary act that is now being made accessible to people of color. May we stop asking for distribution and start becoming the distribution. They say that what you seek is seeking you. Amiga, I believe money is seeking you.
Literally, Linda took us to church. Amigas, how are you feeling? I mean, I have chills. I was a punto de llorar, but I'm wearing mascara and it's not waterproof today, so cannot be doing that to you all. But I really hope everyone felt the message and the power that is Linda. Thank you so much, Linda, for creating a safe space for us to release our money fears and preparing us to receive with an open mind and an open heart. Amigas, remember, you are worthy. We have the power to change our generational wealth future. Ooh, okay. Linda, thank you. So now that we've cleared our energy, let's get into our first session. So let's kick off into abundance and welcome the investment playbook led by Martina Jimenez Ferry and Diana Velasco, market directors at JP Morgan Wealth Management, who will give us a full breakdown of the language of investing. Martina and Diana, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much for having us here today. This is so exciting. I cannot believe how moved I feel from Linda's message and getting everybody, to wake up and to get excited. Despierten, amigas, despierten. I love it. Well, again, my name is Martina Jimenez Ferry. I'm a market director of wealth with JP Morgan here in Atlanta, Georgia. I lead a team of financial advisors, and I am every day working to empower all humans to build wealth and to take that action and to take that chance to invest and do something for their legacy. So I'm so excited to be here. And I'm so excited to be here with mi colega, Diana Velasco, una mujer emprendedora. Diana is also a market director of wealth management for the Northeast and Northwest Northwest markets in Miami. She's been doing this for 2017. She leads a team of 24 financial advisors within 29 branch offices, and she oversees all decisions with long-term views and manages business from end to end, including recommendations, sales approach based on a changing business model. So I am so excited to have you here, Diana, to share. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes, amigas. Buenos días. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be with you all this afternoon. Linda, thank you for your words. Tus palabras me tocaron el alma. I actually empecé mi carrera en la banca when I was 16 years old in a high school internship. I actually started as a part-time teller and was able to work my way up. I'm actually a first college grad in my family. My family migrated. I was born in Bogotá, Colombia, y llegué a los Estados Unidos cuando tenía 5 y cumplí 6. Te cuento que mi historia ha sido muy interesante because how I actually got into the world of finance was through a bank teller job. And the reason for that was I had a lot of curiosity around finances because growing up, I knew my family made a sacrifice. We heard from Linda de los sacrificios que hacen nuestras familias. And I witnessed that firsthand. And I knew I actually had talked to a high school counselor about, the concerns I had for paying for my college education because my parents were not able to plan for my college education. So I knew I had to work and go to school at the same time to pay for it. So the counselor said, I know there's some internships at some banks and maybe that could be your journey to get started and learn more about finances. So I took a chance. I, got a chance to become a teller and I worked my way up. And, when I had that opportunity, I got exposed to participate in a 401k. So that is actually how I started my investment journey, was through a 401k. And the employer also allowed me to participate in an employee stock purchase plan. So I had $50 that I set aside every 2 weeks. $50 would come out of my account. And over time, that amount compounded. Right. So one of the most powerful times of my journey in investing was when my first daughter was born, Daniela. When she turned a year old, I was able to put together that employer stock purchase plan that I had planned for all these years that had been compounded and put a lump sum into her college prepaid plan. So that was a very remarkable aha moment for me because I knew that I had to, all the work and all the sacrifices que mi familia hizo por mí, I was able to pay it forward for my daughter and plan for her. The second aha moment through my investment journey is through the 401k that I participated. I was also able to get a loan against to pay the down payment for the first home that I bought in my early 20s. I bought my first home at 23 years old. So it was just some very powerful points of my life that I was able to do through the journey of investing.
Thank you so much, Diana, for sharing. I just want to say that I'm so excited that we're here today, and I want to tell everybody what we're about to do. In this session, you'll get a full breakdown of the language of investing, so you do not have to feel overwhelmed or confused about where to begin. You learn about stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, and more. So you can reclaim your financial power, as we heard from Linda and we are listening to Diana, by learning what options are out there. And so you can really lay down the foundation to build this wealth plan for yourself. So I'm really excited to continue the discussion with you, Diana. And, I also want to share that I feel very blessed because I grew up in this family of mujeres feministas. I still remember my abuela saying to me, mi hija, tú tienes que hacer tu propio dinero. You have to make your own money, No importa con quién termines, pero tienes que tener tu propio dinero. You have to have your own money. And, and that just made me feel like I really do have to make my own money. I have to do this. And I grew up, in a family like all of you who did not know anything about stocks and how to invest, but they did invest in real estate. So I knew that they believed in that. La tierra que ven es la tierra que se compra. And I thought there has to be another way. So I'm just so excited that we are here today to talk about this investment. And Diana, you shared how you got started and the journey that you took, how you realized, oh my gosh, this is a way for me to start investing. And you share with us this aha moment that came to you and how you invested with your money to start something for your own child's education, which I love. So tell us, what other tips you can give us as Latinas, Latinos who are just getting started or interested in investing. Like, what are those things that you can do to just put your self out there?
So we've all heard the saying, right? No dejes para mañana lo que puedes hacer hoy. Y empezar con algo. Algo es mejor que nada. So everybody's financial situation is different, right? And I think what's most important is to have a plan and a goal. And you can start by looking at your financial goals, whatever journey of life you're in. And most importantly, what is most important to you and your family? For me, becoming a mother with my firstborn, now I'm a mom of a second one, planning for that second education, or just some of those examples. But the best time is to start yesterday, and the best next time is today. Hoy, hacer algo por ti, right? Que valga la pena todos los sacrificios que han hecho para llegar a este momento. And I just want to take a moment to admire and congratulate every single one of you that are taking time to invest in yourself today to be with us, right? And we're beyond honored and humbled to be a part of this. But the best time is to start today, right?
I think that is such a great thing to share with people, because we don't have to worry about not catching up with the market or thinking we lost or missed time. This is it. You can get started today. So, Diana, can you explain, the differences between working with an advisor and investing online with an investment app? And if we can change the next slide, that'll be great. But I think that a lot of times people don't know how to get started, working with an advisor. And they also feel uncomfortable, going to your phone or your tablet on your computer to trust a computer to open up an investment account. So can you explain the difference between these two and how we can start investing these ways?
Absolutely. It's a great question para empezar la conversación. So, lo más importante es la diferencia, the difference between working with a financial advisor and doing it yourself is a financial advisor will take the time to get to know you. They're going to get to know your goals. They're going to lay out a financial plan and help you determine, based on your lifestyle, your short-term goals, your lifestyle goals, and some of your long-term goals. And depending on what goals you're trying to accomplish, there's different implementation, products and solutions that are most suited for the specific goals. So all of that takes a lot of planning. There's different products and solutions that are going to get you to the goal that you have. So that is the value add of a financial advisor. They keep up with markets. They study what's going on in the economic environment, the concerns people have right now around inflation, the geopolitical situation. So that's the value add, right? And I think Linda hit on this, right? It's a very emotional component, right? How we feel about money. And a financial advisor helps you and guides you through that emotional of the ups and downs of the market. We're going to get into that a little bit in our dialogue, but that is the value add, right? That you have someone guiding you, coaching you through the sidelines para ayudarte, para guiarte. Now, when you decide to do it yourself, right? You do it yourself. And I think most of us can say, no tenemos tiempo, hay veces para dedicar el tiempo, estudiar el mercado, knowing what's happening. What does it mean with inflation? What is this? So that's the difference. Where you invest online, yes, you have more liberty to do what you need to do based on what you think is best in researching different stocks, for example, but it is more of doing it yourself, and you may not be aligning the solutions implemented to get to those goals. So those are kind of some of the differences. And, I'll also say that if you decide to invest your own way, you don't have to be a pro at building wealth. No tienes que ser un experto, right? No nacemos siendo expertos, tenemos que aprender del tema, but some people do prefer to work with an advisor for this reason. And if you are more of like, yo soy, quiero tener el control, doing it yourself, then that is the self-directed route. So other advisors, other people, other investors might prefer both. So the options are self-directed investing, automatic investing, and working with an advisor. So when you start the journey of investing, you got to start with your risk tolerance. You got to decide how much risk you can handle depending on your goals. And we all know that investing involves risks, including the possible loss of principal. That is a given. And there's definitely no guarantee for the investment objectives that will be achieved. And we've all heard the saying over and over, past performance is not a guarantee of future results. So you got to start out by diversifying your portfolio. Voy a usar un refrán, un dicho, como en Colombia que decimos, no poner todos los huevos en la misma canasta, meaning diversification, holding a mix of different types of investments to keep yourself at a steadier course through the ups and downs of the market, los altibajos. We know that there's investments that have greater potential returns, like stocks. We've all heard how powerful stocks can be, but they do involve higher risk. So you got to know that, right? Traditionally, less volatile investments like bonds, cash, may not return enough wealth, but that is why a diversified portfolio is important. So asset allocation will guarantee a profit or protect against the loss. So the other component when we think about investing is investing in retirement. I mentioned in my journey, I started investing in a 401k, and most companies will allow you. I know we're also speaking to entrepreneurs, and kudos for you out there. So your type of retirement account would be called an individual retirement account, also known as an IRA. Could be a great option for you. And while saving for retirement is so important, it doesn't have to come at the expense of your other goals. So whether that's education, right? Whether that's legacy planning, or maybe it's, you're trying to pay out debt, maybe some of those other short-term goals. So the most important thing is arming yourself with the tools, the education to make your goal, your dreams a reality when it comes to what you're trying to accomplish. Now, most people in retirement are worried about getting a paycheck, right? I'm not going to wake up paid anymore. So having that income, right? You could consider a type of investment called a fixed annuity. And for that, you would need to speak to a financial advisor that can help you with a suite of different fixed annuities that will help you meet your needs. You can also set it or forget it, hacerlo y olvidarte. We've also heard that refrán. And you could also get into that via an ETF, an exchange traded fund, or a different type of mutual fund that will help you get to those goals as well. And, something important to note is that you've got to be very careful in considering, most importantly, your investment objective. And most 100% of, so when you do decide, right, to do either a mutual fund or an ETF, you're going to get a prospectus, which will outline all the information that you need to read to become informed. And no matter what the course is you got to stay invested, amigas. You got to continue to understand los altibajos. But if you stay invested, you can definitely improve the chances of reaching your goals, most importantly, Martina and amigas.
Diana, I love everything that you're sharing today. And, I think what I took from what you're saying is we need to think about the time that we are going to invest, right? The time horizon. We need to look at retirement and whether or not we're going to have enough money when we do get to that place, to that stage. And then diversification. what do you do when you are just starting from scratch? You don't know that much, and you are trying to figure out how do you diversify that investment and actually, make it so that you have a balance. So when one market is down, right, one industry is down, the other one is up, and you still feel like you're making money and you're not so worried. So, what's your, I would say, recommendation on diversification?
So, that's a great question. And I'll share with you that that's when you continue to see the difference, right? When we're working with an advisor, deciding to do it yourself, because once you decide the first step to get started, starting small, getting to that next step of which account is right for you, sometimes a combination of accounts are going to help you, right, get to those different goals that we mentioned. And it's not that you're going to ignore one, and then you forget about the other goals that you have. So you don't want to put off investing to retirement while you're building your educational assets. And that's where that diversification comes into play, because it's going to continue to navigate through the ups and downs of the market.
Cool. Awesome. So I think we all know about the stock market, but maybe you can tell us more about how it works and what really causes all of the price changes each day.
So, I'll share with you that when it comes to the stock market, and I think that understanding how the stock market works, and we all turn on the news and we see the breaking news, the headlines about what the market is doing. And I think, to keep it very simple, amigas, is think of the marketplace as your tienda local, right? El mercado, where parties come together to buy and sell things, right? When you think of it as, the produce growers come to sell their harvest and hungry shoppers come to buy it, right? So the stock market is not much different. You have buyers and sellers of investments. And, we talked a lot about stocks and how they transact, and they do so in the stock market. So when you invest in a stock, you own a piece of a company, right? And I think we can all keep it relevant to, the hair products we use, to the watch we wear, to all those things we consume every single day. So if a company does not do as expected, it will probably reflect in the share price. And some stocks are entitled to a proportional share of the company's earnings, which are dividends. And, when I mentioned earlier the story about being able to do a lump sum for my daughter's prepaid college plan, it was through the power of the different stocks that the financial advisor, right? When we think about those long-term goals and the navigation of the stock market, of how the stocks work and how the market works to get you to those goals, that is the power, right, of compounding. And that's how you're going to benefit, right, from some of the earnings of these companies that you're choosing to invest. Como una consumidora, aprovechas, sacas provecho, where you're getting your money to work for you.
I love it. So go to the mercado and buy what you love, buy what you are always used to, getting to cook or to use at home, and then you invest in those companies, right? So we know there are obviously different types of stocks, like we just said, going to the mercado, but how do you classify stocks?
Great question. And mira, hay que mantener una simplicidad. Keep things simple, right? Stocks allow you, acciones te aprovechan to benefit from the potential of the success of different companies that can offer the potential growth, right, over time. So when you buy a stock, your financial return is generally tied to the company's performance. If your portfolio is heavily weighted in stocks, which will grow more in value, we see that, right? The allocation between stocks and bonds in your portfolio will shift to a level that maybe you're not comfortable with, right? Given the market fluctuations. So you definitely want to be mindful, amigas, estar pilas, poner atención, decimos en Colombia, un refrán que siempre escucho, is to take a look at where you need to adjust, right? And it could be buying or selling investments to maintain your target allocation. So let me give you a really simple example. So let's say, and look how I'm leaning in, right? Because that's how you have to pay attention to this, right? So perhaps let's say you're 5 years away from one of your financial goals, and it's to save for retirement. You may determine that a suitable allocation for you is 80% in bonds and 20% in stocks. Given that you're nearing retirement, you may not want to risk your gains in the market due to the fluctuation. So we know stocks grow more in value throughout time in comparison. So you're going to continue to make adjustments to the shifted level depending on what your risk tolerance is, your time horizon, and obviously maintain the target allocation to get to your goals. And I definitely want to know, amigas, que cuando tú estás invirtiendo, there is potential tax implications from rebalancing, right? From the shifting of the 80% to 20 or the 60 to 40, right? Of the stocks versus bonds. So you definitely want to consult with a tax advisor before selling.
Those are such great advice. It's so important to know that even when you work alone or with another advisor, you definitely need to speak to someone that can help you with that tax planning, because that's also really important to know, like you said, when to sell. And I want to bring it back to what Linda said earlier, which I love. We don't talk about Bruno, we don't talk about money. I think we have to remove this taboo. No more, we don't talk about money. We have to start to talk about money with our kids, with our, sisters, our friends, nuestras amigas, nuestras madres. If they didn't, grow up with this type of financial literacy, we have to talk about it. It's so important to just demystify, the fact that it's risky or you're worried that you may lose money. You just have to be educated and know how to invest. And as you said, you have to know your time in the market that you're going to be in. You have to know what the money is for, whether it is for retirement or to buy a house. And you really need to understand the tax implications when you're trying to get out, right? So the best time to start investing was yesterday. The second best time is today, right, Diana?
Correcto. Empiecen, ya están aquí, no pienses mucho, acción es lo que toca hacer.
And we have to say, yes, investing involves market risk and including possible loss of principal. And there is no guarantee that investment objectives will be achieved. And past performance does not guarantee future results. You have to educate yourself and learn through either, going into the internet, seeking information, or working with an advisor. So I am so excited. Diana, do you want to share anything else? Because I feel like I'm ready to open another investment account myself. So is there anything else?
Absolutely. So I know that obviously you're probably just getting this information and you may have more questions, right? And I think that if you feel you want to explore more around the topic, you can definitely visit our chase.com/theknow, THEKNOW. Our Women Resource Hub is extremely helpful. That has all kinds of resources available for you that are quick reads for you to get more information. So I highly recommend those that have follow-up questions, and we're here to be of help, right? We really appreciate, I think there's some questions coming through the breakout sessions, and I think one of the questions is around fees and how do you kind of know which advisor to trust, and how do you kind of figure out if paying a fee is going to make more sense than going the self-directed route. I think that the biggest piece of advice on that front is, financial advisors have a fiduciary obligation, right? These are individuals that have dedicated their journey, their careers into the world of finance and wealth management and are licensed, right? And those licenses are, ones that people work very hard to obtain. And have a lot of work that get put towards it and the information that they have coming their way every day. So I would just encourage you to have a conversation with a local financial advisor, whether it's the financial institution of your choice or trying to search and having a conversation. And I think a financial advisor, if they're doing their fiduciary obligation, they should be getting to know you personally and what's important around your goals, right? If you're coming to meet an advisor and they're talking to you about implementation, products, and solutions, and it's like, wait a minute, nos acabamos de conocer y ya me estás hablando de productos. You kind of want to be a little bit mindful of that. It's got to start by understanding qué es lo más importante para ti, Martina, tu familia, tus hijos, cuáles son tus metas a largo plazo. And then you start determining, right? But sometimes, as I remember, el tema de dinero es muy emocional. So sabemos que tener una persona que nos guía, que nos va a ayudar, nos va a educar, nos va a informar, could make that benefit of, will there be fees? And you got to see. Or the self-directed route may not have the most opportune way to help you get to your goals. So you just want to be mindful of that. Y un plan financiero es extremadamente importante to have available.
Yeah, and the other thing is that there are some self-directed investment platforms that do have financial professionals that if you're stuck and you need help, you can definitely seek support. So you don't have to be worried if you do decide to invest in that type of online platform. You can always seek support. So I want to thank everybody for listening today and for being with us. Gracias y nos vemos en la sección. We'll see you soon.
Nos vemos pronto. Gracias.
Chao.